Hello, dear Reflectioners. Be very welcome to our new season and our new episode. Today, as you see here, we finally are doing some shots, some long exposures with boats. So stay tuned because on today's episode, I will teach you how to create a long exposure, how to get it, to edit, and finally we'll see the overall image. So let's join us on our new episode of Photo Reflections. First of all, what we need? Well, that's very obvious. In this episode, we will use a 10-stop circular filter. Why? Because it's the first one that many of us buy when we start doing some long exposure shots. Beside that, we just need a tripod. If it's sturdy, the better. So now let's move to our framing. What will we frame? Framing the image. Well, this part is very, very important. The most important here, as we see, is our subject, the boat. But don't forget that there are other scenes here that we could take advantage. First of all, we have the foreground and the background. Generally, if we use something in the foreground, it will help creating leading lines to our subject. On these situations, we have here some flowers, for instance, here another. As we see here, using the rule of thirds, we have the boat, a little bit of foreground due to my position here, and also a quite nice background. So let's use the best of it. Our frame, let's create a single AF point. Here we are at the top of this filter, 30 seconds, f13, the ISO, let's put it in 100 to get the most of our dynamic range. As you see, it's a bit dark, but on editing it will be great. So let's create here a delay of 2 seconds to avoid shaking the camera while pressing the shutter. So let's see how it goes. 15 seconds now and counting.
One eternity later.
And we are back to our studio with our raw images. This is the one that I like the most. Well, first of all, let's move our profile to the most neutral one. It's the standard version 2. Let's do a custom balance. I don't usually use the presets ones. I prefer doing my own. Here, let's rise it around 7,400. Give it a little more tint, yes, about it. And as you see here, the mood has already changed it a bit. First point, don't go for the false route and do general adjustments on your image. So let's move here, select on this case the sky. You can do it also with a linear gradient, but since we have this at our disposal, let's use it. Well, here we will rise the highlights, open a little of the shadows, perhaps give a little boost to our temperature, not too much, to preserve it, and also Let's give a bit of texture there, not that much. Foreground. Here we can use the linear gradient. Let's place it around here. And now we can open up our shadows. As you see, a huge difference here. It looks already a different image. Let's see if we have some nasty highlights here. Well, for now, let's do it. Perhaps rise a little bit the whites, the temperature, a little bit of color here, since the light was also on this area. Okay, it looks great. Now let's do a little general texture and a little bit of vibrance. Don't worry, that will take care of other areas right away. But you see here that our raw image is already changing a lot. On the hue, well, let's move the rise the reds. I will decrease the orange on the same way. Also the yellows, perhaps -8, 7. The green, let's decrease it as well, around 13. For here it's all. Now move to the saturation. Since we are dealing here with the sunset, let's give it a push. Well, on the orange, rise it a little bit, the yellow as well. Now we can balance it by decreasing the green. Here on the aqua, well, it could stay the same, and let's bump a little not, more than a little, about 16 on the blues. About that luminance, well, here I generally use the yellow, green, and by raising it, the yellow and the green, and a little bit of orange. As you can see here, the differences are subtle but are there. Now let's move to the color grading. I love this panel. When it appears, I have my doubts, but well, I really love it. And why? Because here we have a huge control and it's quite easy to use. Well, the highlights, we want it around, I don't know, maybe here. Let's be precise. I think that here they have a nice color. The shadows, I always tend to do the opposite on the shadows. Not much, but here on the come on, man. Yes, some around that bluish, and the blending, let's make it around it all the way, 100%. The balance let's preserve it. Now to the calibration. Well, the calibration always makes lots of wonders on our images. Let's rise up those blues. Around here is okay. I will not mess with the green primary, but we'll do something on the red. The saturation, let's bump it a little. Also the hue, not that much, but around here. As you see, we have a very, very cool tone, the general one. Now it's time to do some subtle but great tweaks that I love to do. Also, at the end, we will use our basic panel. But for now, let's go to the radial. I love the radial. It have lots of possibilities. Let's place it here and give some light on this area because it deserves. We have also much detail there. I remember that this was shot at f11, so there's plenty of detail and sharpness on that area, but it lacked of the light that was there. So let's enhance it a little bit there. Give also some saturation. Let's make it a little bit bigger here. And as you'll see, it has already also depth on that area, and the light was also there in reality, so we are not messing around with the image. Now let's create another radial, and I want to tune a little bit our main subject. Let's do it like that. I will try first some contrast. Nice. Let's open a little our shadows. Maybe darken a little the blacks and boost a little also the temperature here and a bit of tint. Already looking better. I don't like here on the left this very dark area of the side of these branches in this tree. So let's use another tool here with finding the subject, and it generally does a very nice job. So it's just this side. Let's waiting to detect it. Well, it's done. So open those shadows a bit. You can see here that it recovered the color, the green tone of that vegetation. A little of temperature as well. Why not some texture? And we recovered this side that's also important. Like I told you before, the important is to make the local adjustments and take it slowly like I'm doing. Now let's open just a little bit on a general adjustment here, the shadows, close the highlights also, not that much. Now we can create, and I love to do that. I always love to create some vignette. Just not that much, but here we will tweak the roundness of it, also the feather. Let's see how the image is. Come on. A little bit more of vibrance. Here a micro contrast adjustment, and voila. What do you think? Do you like it? Did you fancy our tutorial? So it's time to you on our comments to say what you think. If you have any doubts, suggestions for another video, if you want more, so please join our video on that way. So my dear reflectioners, that's all for today. I hope that you enjoyed. If you didn't already, please subscribe, like, give us a little help, okay? See you very soon, and thank you a lot for being here.